Okay, that makes sense because I've been here for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So yeah, we're just looking, and obviously I've still got my studio in Sydney in Paddington.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Still operating that. So that's been really good. Been getting a lot of guests in even during the pandemic actually. So even though I've been living in Byron, I've still been in Sydney pretty much every week, just doing studio work and DJing. When the places were open, and when they weren't open, it was just in the studio doing production work and collaborating with people, just getting the label back up and running. So that's been pretty good. It's been a nice process to sort of reconnect with the artists, and it's been helpful just to, I guess, get people out of their COVID hangovers, because it's a bit depressing for music people, like
fully
to not have anywhere to do their thing. So studio time was actually, sanity time, really. We'd come together, knock over a few, whiskeys, and just tinker in the studio. Jam, but also like catch up. It's more like therapy actually for everybody. So, that was a really good cathartic process to have, unemployed DJs and musos coming in, and just reconnecting and having that. So the studio became a bit of a point of connection, for people just to, even if we weren't writing music, it was just good to come and hang. And that kept us together and sane during the pandemic actually. Especially the folks in Sydney that were really feeling the pandemic. Technically I wasn't allowed to go into Sydney and out of it, but I was kind of... You can edit that part out.
Yeah, we can cut. We can do a little chop.
I drove in and out a few times.
How did you feel?
I felt like a cowboy outlaw. I was going to put my Ned Kelly mask on.
It's mad, isn't it? So you guys have been – it's so good to hear that you've been in the studio. I mean, when I was living up at Dover Heights, you came to my studio more than anyone else, believe it or not.
Really?
You were hanging out and we were tinkering around with some stuff and, it's one thing to be in a studio, but when you're in there and there's a bit of a crew, that is where you really start to have a bit of a vibe.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, everyone works differently. Some producers are very introverted. You can usually pick those ones. And some are social. I'm one of the social ones. I like having people around me. I like bouncing ideas. I know my strengths in the studio, and I know my weaknesses as well. So, I try to get people in that know how to do the shit that I don't know how to do, which I think a lot of people do actually. And if you get like 3 people that know how to do all different shit, it's really like amazing.
Yeah, give us an example of that.
Well, if you get someone who can sing, which I can't, and then someone who's great with like analog synths, I'm really good at arranging stuff. So, get the cut down like, of a vocal and then get a couple of synth riffs happening, and then I'll sit there, arranging it, and then go from there. And then I mean, when you're with people, I guess the meticulous stuff doesn't happen. I think it's the detail stuff. The detail stuff always has to wait. I think to do a good job with the production quality, you need to really focus and not have other people around. But when you're being creative and just getting cuts down, like loops and just that's the fun part, being creative, as opposed to then the grind, the post production, sitting there arranging it. I love that part actually. I really enjoy arranging.
It's fun, isn't it? Because you can start. It's a back and forth, isn't it?
Yeah.
You put it there and then you go, hang on. And it's like you slowly get to the finish line.
Well, it's enjoyable for me because I'm good at it and I love, seeing it play out.
Yeah. seeing things in the context of where it's at. Yeah.
I love watching it evolve from like a 4-bar loop to like, it goes from like 30 seconds to a minute and a minute to 2 and then you stretch it to 8 minutes. Yeah. And then if you're feeling like Ricardo, you stretch it to 22.
Have you done a Ricardo yet?
I've got a few Ricardo potentials, like 14-minute, 16-minute tunes. But I haven't released them yet.
You're going to have to show me after.
They're all here.
Sick. How many tracks do you reckon you've come away with since the pandemic that have finished, that you're sort of playable?
Probably like 10.
Sick.
Yeah, 10 properly produced. Yeah.
And from the 10, how many works in progress?
Oh, none of them are works in progress.
Yeah, they're the finished ones, right?
They're the finished ones. There's probably like another 30 or 40 work in progress ones. Yeah.
And that makes me so happy to hear, dude.
Loops and bits and pieces, vocal cuts. But I've been doing a fair few sort of ambient things, just stuff that makes me happy. So, think, I don't know, Portishead or Massive Attack style of slower, moodier stuff, which maybe is a sign of my age, or maybe it's just a sign of my yearning for creativity. I don't know, but
I think it's just a sign of your interests.
I do love.
You're a deep guy. You like the philosophy.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
But I love experimenting with BPM. If I do a loop at like 120, I'll slow it to 89, and then
to hear how it sounds.
Just to hear how it sounds. If I have a synth riff that's like in a house tune, for example, it's at 120. I'll take the synth riff and just change its tempo to 80 or whatever, and then put like a slow sort of drum loop on there and see how that sounds, and then just messing around, it's amazing what happens when you do that as well. Yeah, it's just takes you in a whole nother direction.
I discovered Andy Weatherall during the pandemic.
Yeah,
I think just when he passed away, and changed my life.
He's a boss. Was
a boss. Still is.
Yeah, massive legacy.
Massive, dude. And there was a lot of that slowing down.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where are these songs coming from, and he's slowing them down.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I started doing DJ sets just to play around with music for myself with everything repitched and slowed down.
Yeah.
And I just went, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's such a simple move, and it's just it's just sometimes wow. Even sometimes the trance tunes from I don't know 2000 Gate Crash at times some of those tunes which were produced at I don't know 130 or 140 whatever. Sometimes when you put them down to 115, actually this is
there's something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah. That's wicked, man. I want to hear some of this stuff. Maybe we should start playing some music from guests in these things. It could be a good idea.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the tracks that you finish? Are these more ones in the club?
Yeah, they're all clubby ones.
Yeah.
The finished ones. I don't know. I have this, I guess, propensity to be a club slut.
Yeah.
So, when I'm in the studio, it's always kick, clap, always
hat.
Kick, clap, hat, always thinking about how this is going to translate to the dance floor because, let's face it, that's what's in our blood. I'm a raver from when I was a child pretty much. I started raving when I was 15. Started going to warehouses, in the late 80s in Sydney. I was very much into gay sort of pride dance parties. In the late 80s in Sydney, you had Sleaze Ball in September.
Yep.
you had Pride on New Year's Eve, which was at the Hordern Pavilion, which is 6,000, 7,000 people. And they used to have the hall adjacent to Hordern Pavilion, which is called the Royal Hall of Industries, which held another like 10,000 people. So you're talking like a 20,000 person rave.
Yeah.
And there was no like finishing at 3 like there is now in Sydney. It would go till 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. And so like I was underage. I was 16.
Yeah.
I used to go with like my high school friends to this like, I mean, most decadent thing you've ever seen. Like you can imagine what the gay scene in like 1989 in Sydney looked like, right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, where am I? What is this? You know,
Yeah,
and
real
they were playing
deal.
house music. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, so that was my first intro into house music. And then, you know, they had these bacchanalia rat parties, which were like kind of more straight, I guess, like hetero, but very much sort of cross gay, straight sort of scene.
Yeah.
And the music there was also like, wow, what is this music? You know, so I started listening to electronic music back then. You know, like Josh Wink's Little Lewis, you know, that classic tune.
Yeah.
That was roughly the era. That was more like 90s, I think, early.
Did this make you want to start Spice? Going to these parties and going?
No, I didn't. No, not really. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was
Were
buying.
you DJing
I was
then?
buying, no, I wasn't. No.
You're just raving.
I was just raving, man.
Yeah.
I just like discovered pills and I was
Yeah.
like, what are these things? Wow. I was like 18, man.
Yeah, yeah.
They just made me feel really happy and you know, trance and house and techno sounded like really good when I had them. So I was just like, what is this? You know,
Yeah.
and so I guess like coming of age, discovering, you know, experimenting with, you know, recreational drugs and electronic music. There's always like this, like, you know, I guess historically a connection between, you know, drugs and rave. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, but, you know, it was for me just a natural part of like going raving and discovering yourself. And I think that, you know, in a way that's always been like that since the beginning of time, you know, as
feels like it feels like if you look at traditional cultures, indigenous cultures that use plant-based medicine as a rite of passage and are coming together, there's not a lot of difference between what the electronic music scene is with recreational substances, in the sense that there is a connection between people gathering, people appreciating music, some sort of rhythm, and this kind of expression of, you know, you feel love, you feel euphoria, and that changes your connection to yourself and others, you know, and you have these moments, right, with music.
Correct.
That's just...
Which is not to say like, you have to like take anything to enjoy music. That's not the point. The point is like when you're young, you know, at 18, inevitably in everyone's life, pretty much, I guess unless you're like in Saudi Arabia or whatever, but like, you know, mostly in Western societies, at some point in your life when you're a kid, someone offers you something that you've never had before. And, you know, your kid's going to experience that. My daughter is 11. She's going to experience that probably, hopefully not for another 7 years, but likely in the next 5 years she'll be offered like, who knows what.
Would you take her to your like? Would you take her to a Burning Man or a Buschdorf or something?
Well, she was conceived at Burning Man. Yeah. So, you know, I think at some point I'll take her. I was thinking about taking her this year actually, but I think because it's the first one post pandemic, maybe not. But I think eventually I will take her for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think so. Yeah, because
it's what we do.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Yeah.
And her middle name is Sierra because she was conceived out there in the Sierra Nevada. So it makes sense. And, you know, I think as a child whose mind is expanding to see you know, Burning Man has many faces. I mean, it gets a bad rap sometimes because of idiots. But, you know, if you have an open mind and you don't just go there like to, you know, take drugs and get off your head, you can actually like have a really good experience just to ingest all the art and the creativity and the people and the sheer scale of it. There's, for a person who's like maybe 14, 15, I think it could be life-changing.
Yeah.
Especially if they have a creative mind.
Yeah.
It could unlock who knows what. So, yeah, I'm not against it. I think, people do have prejudice about things from the outside. They like to be judgy about, like, oh, yeah, Burning Man, or this, that, the other. But, like, I mean, I think you make of it, whatever you want to make of it, because I see a side of it which is, artful and creative, and it's not about drug taking. It's not about electronic music even.
It's so much bigger.
It's just about like community and creativity and
connection
and
with self and others.
Human capability, like seeing the scale of the installations there is like, I mean,
there's a lot of expression too, a lot of freedom in that,
absolutely.
A lot of liberation.
Yeah, so I'm not against my child seeing that. Obviously, I'd like to protect her from the bad stuff.
Absolutely.
But, I'm open to taking her there for sure. Maybe next year.
We should start one soon. Start one for kids. It's interesting you're saying, talking about prejudice and stuff and from the outside in, and we tend to, things that we don't know or don't understand, we tend to put them in a box. And I think we saw a lot of the best and worst in people during the pandemic. And a lot of that was coming out on social media. That was our only, that was kind of free-to-air TV or digital TV now. But that's not really our sort of medium. And then you've got social media. What's your vibe on, let's talk to you as an artist, as a DJ. What's your take on, firstly, social media? How do you sort of use it? And what's your like non-negotiables about it?
Well, I don't do selfies pretty much. Although I did one this morning on the pool deck in my Speedos. But no, I don't. On a serious note, I tend to keep it pretty organic. And by that I mean, if it doesn't feel like I don't have this like must post content feeling. Like I don't feel like I didn't post content today, have to do this, that, the other, because I'm not really promoting shows so much these days. Pre-pandemic I was, but because everything's shut, I've kind of steered my focus away from promoting shows so much, and so there's not this pressure to constantly be on social media promoting things. But like, if I'm booked for a gig like I am tonight in Bali, I will create a story and tag people, and I know what it's like for promoters. It's a tough gig, trying to get people to come to your shows when there's heaps of other shows, and promoters work hard, man. They're trying to make a living out of a really tough industry, and I think over time, like any amount of support as an artist that you can give them, I think is the least you can do for getting booked. But besides that, I think it's also important just to stay relevant and in a way, like, tell people about what you're doing from time to time. It doesn't have to be like I had like a scrambled egg and some organic arugula with like capers. It could be like more interesting than that, I find a lot of people post a lot of irrelevant content about, or just superficial content. I like reading content which is like from the heart, or, teaches me something, or shows, or, says something about this person who I haven't seen for a while, or, someone that's
something authentic.
Authentic, exactly. Authenticity, I think, is the one thread in social media which I think just pierces through everything else. I think if you can keep that as your mantra, I think, that's it. Like, you authentically want to post and you post something authentic, then
it's authentic.
It's authentic. If you're like posting just because you have this like feeling that you must post content just for the sake of posting content because you want to, I don't know, satisfy what social media experts tell you to do. You know, I don't think that's the way to do it. I think you post it when you feeling good about posting it, and when you have something authentic to say, then post, and that comes across naturally. And I think that's, for me, how, like, I guess you get organic follows and you know, a bit of a following. And in terms of what I use, I mean, Instagram I use. I'm on Twitter, but I guess Twitter's more of an NFT thing.
Yeah.
Because
we should talk about that later.
What does it stand for again? No. Yeah, we should. I just rode past. I was talking to Damien and the guys outside. I rode past this crypto building.
Toko Crypto?
That one, yeah.
It's an exchange.
I went up to Amo Spa yesterday for a sauna. Ran into Carlo and Scott there, actually. And I was like on my bike and I was like, what's like crypto token? What's that? It did catch my eye. What is that?
It's an exchange, an Indonesian exchange, and they've got this kind of like building
like
there, crypto exchange.
Okay,
and it's kind of like Indodax, and they've got this building that's kind of like a co-working space. And if you own Toko Crypto tokens, you're able to use the facilities. So there's a lot of educational events happening there, and
workshops and stuff
like that.
Oh, cool.
Used to be a club.
Really?
Used to be a venue.
Of course it did.
You know,
it's like a big grey box.
Yeah,
but now it's got all neon lights and stuff, and cool.
Yeah, so
that sounds good. Wouldn't mind checking it out. Actually, I was actually meant to be at NFT NYC like now.
I thought you went.
No, well, I went in November. There was one this weekend, well, not this weekend, last weekend. But because I'd already booked my sister's 40th birthday here, I cancelled that trip because it was just going to be too much flying. I had the tickets and everything, and just decided not to go. But yeah, I'm still loosely involved in a few projects. As you know, I had like 5 years at a crypto startup.
Yeah, I remember you were probably my first friend ever to talk to me about crypto.
Really?
Had I have really just grasped it when because, you know, we're always onto things, you and I. We're kind of nerdy, right?
Yeah.
And you were telling me about it and I just couldn't grasp it.
Yeah.
But you kicked me off. You kind of kicked me off in the clubbing scene as well with good music, with Spice Parties. Yeah. But, you know, this is something to whoever's listening. When someone is talking to you about this new kind of technology, cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs, piece of advice: do some research about it, about the technology, right? What it can do, and then let your imagination take you from there. Yeah, because that's some real
advice.
It's really exciting to, you know. I had to do it the hard way by getting involved in sort of dodgy projects and meme projects, and which just didn't make any sense. But then that allowed me to research the tech, and then I went, okay, this is what it's designed for, not that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, like, speaking about judginess, I think crypto gets a bad rap, and I think you know, many people like to, you know, cast it as, what's this, you know, crazy stuff and all that. But at the end of the day, I think many people focus on the financial gain or the speculative prospects of, like, get rich quick and all that, and that's fine. But really, it's pretty much the same as when the internet sort of first came to be, and, you know, everyone was like talking about you know, the money and startups and billions of dollars and all this sort of stuff, and you know, forgetting that, like, fundamentally the creation of the internet changed everyone's lives forever, you know, in such a massive way, and retrospectively when we look back, you know, to like 1996 or whatever it was, like, you know,
Alta Vista, 56K modems,
all that. Like, you know, I think there's a beauty in looking back at that, and, like, being, you know, for those that actually, like the Googles and all the people that were involved, you know, and believed in it. I think they look back and go, well.
Have you watched this movie?
Screw you guys.
Have you watched this movie called Middlemen?
No.
It's got Owen Wilson's brother in it.
Oh, really?
And it's around that. It's basically these guys that wrote the original code for credit card transactions online, which was like porn sites, but for photography.
Yeah.
You got to watch it, man.
Oh, really?
It's fascinating.
I'll put it in my phone afterwards.
Middlemen. It's really, fully based on a true story and all this kind of shenanigans. And that's the internet just starting e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it. Blockchain technology is so big, it is just as big as the internet because of how it touches everything.
Yeah, it's just like
it affects everything.
It's just really smart technology. I mean, that's undeniable that it's smart and useful. Like when something is smart and useful on that scale, it's like a foregone conclusion. The financial aspect of it, I mean, if you can make money from it, good luck.
Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah,
but you can lose money from it too.
You're talking about trading,
just buying and selling crypto, like because everyone
that's just like stocks.
It's just people just like always instantly go, oh, crypto, I've lost this, I made that, but it's like it's not about that.
Yeah, that's not even crypto.
It's just not about that. Like if you really like believe in the technology, then it's not about that. It's about like all of the other things that it can bring.
What was it for you? What were one of your like? I want to keep talking about this social media stuff, but this is pretty interesting. What were one of your like things that you went, okay, when you were going on this discovery of this new tech? What was one of the first things that you discovered about it that made you really draw you in?
I think it was the aspect of it that was trustless, and by trustless, we're talking peer-to-peer. I'm a big believer in peer-to-peer technology, and obviously that has like a lot of piracy implications when it comes to music and film and content. However, I also think that when there's a middleman, and be that a bank, a government, or whatever, I feel like things operate less efficiently. But the flip side to that is you have this increase. I guess you have this increased decentralization at what cost? What's the cost of that? The cost of that is risk. Like what happened to Luna, Terra Luna just recently. It was like supposedly a stable coin, had billions of dollars of reserves, had billions of dollars of like bitcoins.
Had to sell them off.
Well, sold them off, still wasn't enough. When the market's against you, the market's like, it'll if you lose confidence, like
we saw that in the financial system, in Federal Reserves getting attacked, right?
That's right. Yeah. So even the financial system like works on a level of confidence. So I think remembering that there's like a sweet spot between decentralization,
equilibrium,
regulation, decentralization. It's like a really, that's like nature. It's the balance of nature. Like you can't have pure decentralization, in a way, because like we live in societies that have governments, and governments have to create money, and there has to be like a financial exchange, and so like it's a very embryonic stage of crypto, because the governments are still getting their heads around it. Like you've got El Salvador, which is already using Bitcoin as official legal tender, and they've gone on one tangent.
I'm so glad that I haven't been bombed or attacked yet for that.
So I mean, it's just like it's just like watching TV, seeing how this crypto thing's unfolding. I think it's like so interesting, and like I guess that was my fascination with it, was like the ability to
trustless.
Yeah, the ability to like exchange value with somebody on the other side of the world with like with zero intermediaries. That was like a really powerful thing. I thought was like really cool. And then beyond that, I guess then the Ethereum was the first project that I sort of got involved with. And then once Ethereum started getting into like the spin-offs with NFTs and whatever, like I was like, wow, this is sick.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way in like 3 or 4 years. Like imagine what's going to happen next like 5, 10. It's cool to watch.
It's going to it's going to be a wild ride, and I think
it is
one of the most exciting things about the concept of trustless is for two parties to exchange and transact whatever that transaction is, goods, services. You don't need to trust the other person because that trust is outsourced onto a blockchain ledger.
Correct.
I mean, that was the last piece of the puzzle in interaction, right? Because we spend years building up trust, and you're trusting that someone is going to do something if you do something. And the irony of it is there's so much, I wouldn't say so much, but we hear more of these kind of scams and all these kind of shenanigans that adds a lot of interference to the adoption of the technology. But that's like anything, I think, that's new. Because
I think it's legitimate though, like the concerns are legitimate because like at the end of the day, like when, you know, the big question is how trustless is it? You know, because at the end of the day, there's, you know, the project still has its founder, and then the founders always have like their, you know, core team who are like, and they're making decisions like, you know, when you look at like, let's use Terra Luna as an example, you have like Do Kwon who's like the founder, and then you had his like key guys, and they were making the decisions of like, you know, how to operate the stable coin. So in effect, kind of like what a government would do, like if they were managing a currency.
It wasn't a DAO, you know?
No, it wasn't a DAO. So, you know, you've got like this, how trustless is it? It's an important question, like, you know, and you need to really like think about like how that works. And like, again, when there is a DAO, how does a DAO work? You know, if you don't know what a DAO is, it's a decentralized, autonomous organization. It's a mouthful, that one.
Yeah.
But a DAO is actually like, again, how
it's a governance mechanism.
It's a governance mechanism, but is it actually trustless? You know, like is it and who's right? You know, do you know what I mean?
I think
you break it down even
further. We're getting a new layer of transparency that we couldn't get.
Yeah.
Like imagine checking out the foundation that you donate money to, and you can actually see a certain level of what's happening. You know, you're getting a greater insight compared to what we're getting at the moment with companies and organizations.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think that's the beauty of it.
With Crate, we will have marked wallets that have a specific purpose, you know, that people can see and all that kind of thing.
Crate.
And they're Crate. So, let's go back to social media, because I think this one isn't spoken about a lot, and I think you seem like a guy that's got a really good take on it. You use it when it serves you. You're authentic with it. If and there is this kind of pressure. I argue a lot with marketing people that tell me I need to do this, that, the other, and also, you know, has anyone really asked why do they need to post so much content daily? You know, no one really stops to go, why do I need to do that? And it's because we've got to look at social media as more like they're advertising companies. Yeah. You know, and what they want is you to be posting content all day. So you kind of manipulate it into doing that to get the visibility, but that's not really.
Well, they're just trying to get eyeballs onto
their ads,
the platform.
Yeah.
And once they get eyeballs on like Facebook, Insta,
do you use
TikTok,
Facebook much? You still on that?
I use Messenger actually.
Yeah.
Messenger's useful.
Yeah.
Facebook, I don't post onto Facebook, but what I post on Instagram goes to Facebook. But
you post Instagram first, right?
Yeah, I go from Instagram, then goes there. Yeah. You know that. Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
No, but my daughter is obviously. And I guess like that TikTok's a good segue into talking about content, which is like, you know, useful. Yeah. There's a lot of useful content. I mean, I get a lot of recipes, and like, you know, you see like they say do a cupcake or whatever. Like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fast too. Gives you fast recipes. It's Insta recipe.
Cook in like 12 seconds. You know, all that. But again, it's this like disposable culture that's coming into play. It's like everything is faster. You know, like. I went to hear Yob Yobse play in Sydney the other day. It was playing at 136.6 BPM. I had to go and have a look. I was like, how fast is this guy playing? I went in there. I was like, fuck, okay. So I was like, that's a TikTok hangover, it's like fast social media, fast music. It's like everything's bam, bam, bam. I mean, like maybe I'm just getting old, but 122 is about where I'm at.
Is that your max?
Nah, it's my average.
You're just groovy, bro.
I'm just averaging at 122. I've pushed it to 126. Maybe I'll do 126 tonight.
How scary is 126 and 128 when you know that used to be a thing that used to play normally, and then 124 was the thing, and then the kids are coming in.
What's your your resting BPM?
Mate, it's I learnt that the faster it is, the less funkier it is, because you've got less time in between the notes.
Yeah, like
right?
if you think about, if James Brown was alive, would he ever listen to anything above 125?
No
way.
No way. He'd be around 100.
Yeah, it'd be 100.
Even slower.
Yeah, his nuts would be on on the couch next to him.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh shit.
What were we talking about?
Social media,
about
resting
TikTok.
BPM, TikTok. Yeah, and just content which is authentic. Look, I'm not hanging shit on people's content, right? Like, I think there's a lot of great content out there, and there's a lot of really good content producers, and good on them. Like, that's why. And going back to, I guess, connecting to your question about why I was into blockchain and crypto first up was basically when I realized when I actually had the epiphany of like what social media companies are actually doing, and it's not just social media companies. We're talking about Apple, Google, and social media companies,
Amazon.
and Amazon. I mean, these companies are collecting your data and then they're selling it. That's what they're doing. That's what they do. They use your data. They use your data to
So we're a commodity.
They sell you shit. They they just want your eyeballs to be on, And so for me, when that kind of little light bulb went off in my head about what social media companies were actually and data collection, and then that whole, what was that called, Britannica?
Cambridge Analytica.
Cambridge Analytica. Yeah, sorry.
Britannica. Remember those encyclopedias?
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
What were they called? Cambridge
Analytica.
Yeah. Well, got my wires crossed. But anyway, that whole scandal really, I think that was around when I was discovering sort of Ethereum and decentralization. And for me, my personal journey was I had this light bulb moment. I was like, far out, man. This is like a big scam. Getting, people to sell their data without them knowing.
And without getting a cut.
Without getting a cut, yeah. And so, that's why NFTs...
that's pure exploitation.
It's total exploitation. That's why NFTs and Ethereum and these blockchain technologies are wonderful, because they're, peer-to-peer. You can directly reward your fan base with whatever you want. You can, your NFT can have so many bells and whistles, and you can connect, you can have your community, and if you're really onto it and you understand it, you can connect, you can have a thriving, music community linked to your NFT profile, and, you can build a community and a presence and have a fan base and all those beautiful things without even going on Twitter or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and I think that over time, when you have this, right now it's very embryonic, but over time, when there's the critical mass of adoption, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
You understand it, and I understand it, and it's a no-brainer. And once people understand it, I think, and there's enough trust in there.
I think
that
crypto should just have the slogan, it's a no-brainer.
Well, it is a no-brainer, but I understand why people are
think
cautious.
about when you
They're
first
cautious.
jumped on and you had a wallet and you had to send things.
It's
It's terrifying.
Scary as fuck, man.
It's terrifying.
So scary.
And you're next to the person that it starts off when you're sending
Can
it
we
to someone
say the
next
F word, by the way?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's scary as fuck,
Yeah,
man.
you can swear as much as you want. It's
I broadcast on community radio in Byron. I'm on Bay FM every Saturday night.
Yeah.
And you can't swear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they give you 4 S words or no?
There's no swearing. It's community radio. It's like government and all that.
Yeah.
It is a broadcasting contract. It's got fucking 4 pages. And Jesus, man.
Wow.
I wish I read that a year ago. It's like inciting. You can't incite like, I don't know, it's political shit. It was like all this stuff, and I literally been broadcasting for about a year on the station. I just got my broadcaster's agreement, and I read it, and it says you can't incite political this, that, the other, and like the election in Australia was just on. I was like, going for gold, mate.
Yeah,
I was just hammering.
How was that? I voted from the consulate here.
Yeah, well, I think there's some positive change.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
who did you vote for?
I think I voted Greens and Independents.
Yeah, I did Greens.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a shift.
Legalised cannabis, I saw that on the ballot.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift towards, positive climate change, compared to like where it was with the Conservatives, like, burning coal and all that crap. Like, it's just like,
I heard we
really?
took away, the Libs took away the solar rebates.
Yeah, man, they did a lot of badass things. Like, not badass as in good, but badass
just
as in
straight
just
up
fucking bad stuff. Like,
just bad.
Just bad for the environment. Like, Australia being like,
the size of Europe.
As like developed as it is, and being like, I think, like in the bottom 4 nations or something when it comes to climate change in the world or something. It was like it had the same climate change record as like Nigeria or something. Nothing wrong with Nigeria. I've got Nigerian mates, but as a developed,
it's all right. This isn't community radio, man. We don't have to. Everyone gets you, bro. Everyone gets you.
Yeah, but like they did some repugnant stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like like inexcusable, bad. And not just on the climate change front, it was also on the immigration side of things.
Yeah, which we're an immigration nation.
Yeah,
We're
it's just
built
like just really like far right kind of activities. When it comes to detention, mandatory detention for children. Just come on, man.
Yeah,
are you for real? Like. Yeah. Are you for real? Like, and then then covering it up, like, and doing, trying to cover it up with like because the doctors that were on the islands where they were doing the immigration camps, like, so they wouldn't even accept the immigrants into Australia. They'd send them to some island in like called Manus Island, which is not even a part of Australia. It's part of like Papua New Guinea.
Is that like Aussie Guantanamo Bay
pretty
or something?
much, yeah. And then the doctors exactly. And the doctors there, except they weren't torturing them, but they weren't directly torturing them. They were just like it's like passive torture, actually.
Yeah.
Because like a few of the inmates like set themselves on fire to death, like, commit suicide. Man, it was like bad.
It's inhumane.
Bad. Like bad, and that's why they got voted out. It's like, you do shit like that, man, see you later. Like, and the cool thing is that all the safe seats that were held by the Conservatives were taken over by Independents, which were
amazing.
So that's a good, good positive change. So we'll see what happens.
What back to the TikTok, right? We were on the TikTok, and then we got into the blockchain about data, right? One of the things that, as an artist, I've got 2,000 something followers on Instagram.
Yeah,
I do a post, maybe 10%, not even 10% see that, right? So I'm on this platform. I can't even speak to everyone that follows me and has chosen to follow me, by the way. I haven't forced them.
Yeah.
They said, follow this geezer, right?
Yeah.
And I can't even communicate to them. And if I do want to be able to reach more of the people that have chosen to follow me, I've got to pay for it.
That's the idea with that's how Facebook works, yeah.
Right? Same thing.
Yeah. I believe TikTok's less like that.
But there's a trend because it's always started out pretty good, and then it's slowly, it's like a game where you always, right now you've got to do this. You've got to save posts and you've got to share them. That's going to carry more weight with if you get, and I feel like you're being front run by the company, the social media company, because they're always changing the goalposts.
Yeah,
to keep, to create gamification of, incentivizing you to take certain actions that suit them.
Correct. Well, their incentives are obvious. Like, they're just trying to, they're using your fan base to get exposure, to the brands that pay money.
It's crazy.
And you're a brand. You're one of the brands, actually.
Yeah.
They want you to pay to get to your audience, and it works. It's working for them. for now.
Yeah, for now.
But I think that when you have a better alternative, which is here actually, I think it's a matter of time.
Have you looked at any social media alternatives? Is Jack Dorsey starting something on blockchain, or is there something happening out there?
Oh, look, I operate with a critical mass kind of mentality. Like, you know, there's a certain level of, I guess, cowboyism involved in my approach, but you know, there's also common sense approach. You know, like I like being on top of what's happening. You know, what the next thing to happen is going to be, but I'm also very wary of like what's going to work for me now, and right now what works for me now is Instagram. So I do like, you know, occasional Twitter tweets about NFTs and stuff, but not really like that much. It's more about just posting you know, about my gigs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might do something cool very occasionally.
Have you released any music NFTs with your stuff yet?
Yeah, we've done we've been releasing so my label that I've been curating,
Reckless
Republic. We've got our last two releases were actual music NFTs. But I'm holding off at the moment because I'm just kind of doing a wait and see at the moment, because NFTs are just like, there's just been like a massive influx and there's oversupply, and you know, like really selling NFTs I think is like, I don't know, I'm just like holding off, just on this wait and see sort of vibe at the moment. More looking at, I guess, using NFTs as in more of a real world capacity, like, you know, for
tickets,
AR especially. I'm super interested in how you can merge like real time NFTs with AR and like.
Man, I remember you were right into this. Was like 7 years ago when you had the Studs, right? That had the green screen, and you're right into AR. Are you still doing that stuff?
I am.
Because you'd be like a meta. You'd be like, you know, right into that.
We were doing metaverse shit like
7 years ago, man.
Yeah, we were. Like so back then I was definitely more into it than I am now. But right now I'm just kind of like waiting for the next wave of NFT action to kind of unfold. I guess like that's why I was interested to see what comes out of this NFT NYC thing. And, you know, like with all the Bored Ape and Me Bits and all those like projects, and seeing how they kind of, you know, progress over the next year or two, and then also seeing like how some major sort of recording artists work with it, and sort of, coming up with like maybe an event sort of real world, you know, use case, I guess, rather than creating more digital sort of
art
garbage. I mean, like, it's great, but like, you know, I don't want to like spend my time and energy on creating something that's just going to like fall by the wayside. I'd rather spend my energy on writing music, or, you know, like something, developing something cool, which is like I guess a club sort of a night maybe which uses NFTs, or you know what I mean, like
I think you nailed it on the head. I mean,
merging all that technology and building or creating a community through, you know what I mean? Yeah, like thinking it through, like not just going, oh yeah, here's a JPEG, animate it, put some tunes on it, oh that's my NFT, do you want to buy it? It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I think there was a lot, like you nailed it on the head. I fully relate with you when you say sit and watch. And again, talking about critical mass, or I guess another way to talk about it, that is the network effect. But I've spent probably just over a year and a half now watching, doing my own due diligence and research and learning as well. But you're so right. There's been a lot of like there's this crypto attitude and mindset from people that are from that scene, is like, do first, think later. And that doesn't play out well in an industry like ours, where there needs to be a bit more hindsight and forethought in the way, you know, things are done. And I think Crate is essentially going to fill that void, because it's going to enable Reckless Republics, Murat Kilic's to join, sell his music, to DJs that like his music or DJ producers that like his music and trade it amongst themselves. Because the most important thing, as you said, is building the community, you know?
Yeah.
And you're seeing artists sort of jump on it independently, and you're seeing what really bugs me out is when we're seeing music sold for prices that you can buy a house with. I don't understand that. And, you know, there's such a strong use case in our industry, DJs, ravers, right? Because DJs want music that other DJs don't have. And now we can have digital scarcity, right? So we're able to see the digital world hit parity with vinyl culture. In fact, my prediction is, Crate's probably going to have one of the biggest vinyl factories in the world. You know, that's just putting it out there. You know, they say stuff, right? Put it out there, right? But, you know, we're as much of an NFT platform as we are a vinyl production company, even though we don't even have a vinyl factory yet, right? But that's where we're going. That's where it's going, because the future will be, and this is cool, man, the future will be when you buy a record, you'll be buying the NFT, which also gives you the digital, right? Because you can have parity now, you know?
Well, that's a really good way to put it. I mean, I think that, you know, the whole point of, for me, and you know, like going back to creating NFTs and like what I was saying about like this massive oversupply of stuff that's just
pictures
like,
and stuff,
just stuff, you know, like without actually having like, you know, a roadmap of like relevance, you know, like if you've got like, you know, you've imagined something as an artist that, you know, you're building, which is not just an expendable digital piece of art, but actually like it's a token that gets you all this other shit, which is coming from your favorite artist, which could be, you know, it could be like a VIP ticket to a concert. It could be like a rare record. It could be like anything really. Like, and, you know, and having like actually like spending the time.
There's value in that.
Yeah, there is value in that.
You know?
But for me, there's no value in like just making an NFT and like not, you know, it's doing this.
Do you remember when everyone started blogging?
Yeah.
You know, and everyone just started a blog.
You got a blog. It's like, what's that mean?
It's the same thing, right? When there was the professionals versus the amateurs.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're seeing like it's almost like a gold rush because people are trying to make art just to
that's
do
the
a cash
thing.
grab.
The gold rush is actually a really good way of describing it, because like this is again the whole like the whole mentality where it's a speculative get rich quick scheme. The guys are crypto this, make $1 million. It's not about that. Like,
No.
Forget, if you pull the gold rush aspect out of it and actually think of it like, okay, how can I use this technology to like build a community and do really cool shit that's never been done before? Then you're onto something. Like, don't do things that everyone else is doing. Like, don't just create a digital piece of art, put some music on it, chuck it on an NFT site and expect some cool shit to happen, because it's like some people can do it because they have a profile, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I think this is the whole wait and see approach is like in 2 or 3 years, you know, and it's good that we're talking about this now, because right now the crypto market has gone through a massive tank, as you know, like, and, you know, there's like a massive glut of NFTs. Ethereum's gone down to $1,000 US. Bitcoin's fucked. Terra Luna just went out the window. So it's a really good time to take stock and go like, hey, where are we at here? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, and nothing is certain, you know, everything is changing. That's the one thing that is certain, is that everything's constantly changing. And so, you know, like, look at where you sit in that picture. Like, you know, it's a good point of, you know, reference for your own existence.
We almost went through that ourselves with the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
So yeah, that's like that already happened.
Yeah.
So you already had to like look yourself in the mirror and go, who am I? What the fuck am I doing?
What makes me happy?
What am I doing? Yeah. Where am I? Who am I? And what am I doing?
Who are you, bro?
Yeah. Well, apparently I'm like, you know, a guy that likes techno and NFTs.
Likes his studio.
Love my studio.
That's our temple, mate. They're our shrines, you know, that spot. And a social studio is always better than a non-social studio.
I think so.
You know?
I think so.
Because I had this idea, you know, I bought a bass guitar for myself. It's called Blondie. and I've written an album with my friend Hawley, right, where I'm playing bass in all of it. And
I didn't know that.
mate, it's called Cities of Gold, this alias.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like
Good name.
112.
Good movie too.
Yeah, 112 BPM. And it's like Todd Terje vibes,
Oh, yeah.
but nowhere near the kind of musicality that he's got. But that kind
I've
of.
heard that pronounced as Todd Terrier before.
Yeah, Todd Terje. I don't know.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Which one is it? Like, he's Norwegian, right?
Yeah.
Is it Terje or Terrier?
Is it Terje or Terrier?
Like, who's game enough to call him Terrier? It's like, come on, man. It's not a dog, man. Terje Terrier.
But what was I saying? I was saying about the bass guitar and the Cities of Gold.
Yeah.
And what, I had this idea that, sick, world's gone to shit. I'm going to be able to write lots of records.
Great.
But I didn't have the human connection. I was probably living in a room about this big, to be honest, maybe double this size.
Right.
And I couldn't leave.
Right. Yeah, you're locked down and shit.
Proper lockdown here, man, at the very start.
Yeah, right.
Went like glow in the dark white.
With your misso?
No.
Oh, what?
I was alone.
Oh.
This is before I met Trish.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So this was like.
I was thinking, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. No. She came here after the first wave.
Oh, okay.
When it sort of semi-opened up.
Second wave.
Yeah, and then
baby.
We'll find, baby, let's go. Let's go. Let's
sick.
Let's change the future. So
good.
I think you're onto something, man, with this studio being social.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be able to have time and write music by yourself, but it's another thing to be able to jam and vibe and feel off other people,
man.
and share.
Yeah.
Do you guys like, is there any other producers that use the space and are writing tracks?
Yeah.
Who else have you got in there?
So Dave Good's in there.
Oh, Goody, yeah.
Goody's in there. So he and I actually built the studio together. Then he left about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Where's
he
Mike, gone? He went to New York and London to do his NFT project.
What's he doing there?
He's doing like a global sort of roadshow. He's done London. I think he did one in London and Ibiza and Sydney.
Yeah.
It's called Future Art.
Okay.
And they showcase all the sort of most prominent NFT artists from around the world.
Wicked.
in sort of an immersive. So we co-produced the Sydney version on the opening night of Vivid on the 27th of May.
Yeah.
And there was like a couple of interactive NFT installations.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the kind of cool. When I said, like, if you're going to do something, make it cool. Like, these are the kinds of cool projects that I consider cool, but like, immersive sort of NFT stuff where, you could actually like get involved and see how like these VR NFT artists are creating their work and, actually having like an experience with the goggles on of how like, what it feels like to be an NFT.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like, there was this thing that won an award at the Sundance Film Festival for being best VR installation called Tree VR, and it basically
was that at Vivid as well. The Tree VR
that was at our showcase.
Yeah.
So he did that. So we're still kind of collaborating on that. Still doing a bit of music together.
Yeah. How's he doing, man?
Yeah, he's good.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah. There's Mike Whitcomb.
Oh, Mikey.
Yeah, he and I. Yeah. So when Dave left, Sun Archive.
Yeah, cool name.
Yeah, so he's got some, amazing releases on. I think he released on Politics of Dancing, which is like a super top underground label. I think it's French or maybe Eastern European. I don't know. Maybe Romanian. It's got that kind of like groovy house sort of sound. But yeah, he's like an analog.
So did he bring all his toys into the studio?
He did. And Felix, do you know Felix?
Which?
So they used to run a studio called the Analog
Cabin.
Yeah.
I've only met Felix a couple of times. I know Mike.
Yeah, so Felix is like he's like the sensei. He's like the sensei of analog.
We did a stream there.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So Felix and Mike moved in when Dave moved out. So they brought all their gear in, and so they're all all in there, and other than that, who else has been in there? Like Adam comes in from time to time.
Pablo?
Jerk Boy.
Yeah.
Who else? We've had heaps of people, man.
Yeah.
People come through, like, yeah.
And is Adam looking after the label? Is he going to help with the label?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And
he's still at Label Works. He still works for Label.
Yeah, he's still
at Asia.
Shout out to Pablo, Stivala, Calamari.
Pablo.
He's got so many aliases, man.
He does.
I can't remember them all.
He just had a kid too.
Yeah.
So him and Paulina are like, in Babyville.
Yeah.
You should like read.
Yeah, I'm gonna
say, mate, what's going on?
Reach out.
Is my life over? He'll be like, do you want the real answer?
It's gonna be.
You got a boy coming
awesome.
as well.
Yeah, man.
Shit.
He's a Leo.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, see how that pans out, mate. Good luck with that.
Thanks, man. What can we expect? What's the game plan? What's the roadmap for Reckless Republic? Because I am really interested to see what your plans are for the label side, or hold you accountable so you can get some releases. I've said it on the show. I'm going to get it out.
Well, I've got a track called Palmer's Overdose, which is
Palmer's Overdose.
Yeah, which is a track that I wrote. Like, actually, speaking of having fun in the studio, I was in the studio with a friend of mine, and I was reading this book. At the time called The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch by Philip K. Dick, which is a book about like how the future will inevitably pan out to be a massive headfuck, right? And it was a really cool book and
sci-fi.
It's a massive sci-fi book, really sick though. Like if you have time, read it. But
yeah.
Anyway, she was in the studio, like we were just hanging out with a few friends, and she started reading like an excerpt. And I was like, that's a really good line. So I stuck it on the mic and then like recorded her like just reading the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tune actually sort of evolved from that vocal sample. And I guess like I've been wanting to do like a Jean-Michel Jarre edit my whole life because I love that, like, you know, the dramatic Oxygen synth riffs.
Yeah.
So I kind of ripped his like chords from Oxygen.
Yeah. He went straight to the source, bro.
Yeah. Went straight to the source and just ripped his like chords and put the vocal on and just the old kick clap thing and then. And then we got like Joseph has done a remix. Joseph's a Melbourne-based Jozef Joseph.
Yep.
He's got a label called Josman Tracks. He's done quite well in the last few years.
Shout out to Joseph.
So he did a remix. And we got a couple of other potential remixes, but that's basically done and ready to go. Got like Ant J Steep doing another track from LA.
Yeah, is he moved over there?
Yeah, he lives over there. He's got this track called Warped Paint, which I've always loved, and he's never released. I'm like, why the fuck haven't you released this, man? And he's just like, he's like a standard sort of creative tripper guy.
Yeah.
Like he just,
sits on us.
He just writes shit and just sits on it for like 20 years. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
And so I happened to come across this track because I'm mates with him, and I was just like, I'll send it to you, man. It's such a beautiful riff. It's just like you hear the guitar riff in it and it makes you melt. And I was just like, fuck, that's so good, man. Like, can we like release it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, fuck, sweet.
Yeah.
And so now he's finishing that. And it's a sample from a band. I can't remember the name, but I will remember after the show, and I'll send you the original, and you'll be like frothing when you hear the original too, because
this
the
guitar
original's really good. Yeah. The actual original song's amazing too. So yeah, he's doing that, and I've gone back to all of the music that I've just written, and over the last 10 years, and there's a couple of rippers in there, like and I mean like the ones that like never, never released rippers, I call them, and I've just like found like maybe 12 tunes which I really like, and so I'm going to release them over the next course of the next year or two.
Yeah.
And the same thing like the social media thing, I'm not under any pressure to like keep this release like, oh, I got to do a release every month or 2 months or 3 or whatever. They're just going to come whenever the fuck I want them to. There's no pressure because that's not what I'm relying on to survive. It's just like
passion project.
I'm just doing it because I have the music, and I want them to be exactly how I want them to be. I don't want to like just release them because they're ready for release, or not. I just want to like go, right, this guy's ready now.
Yeah.
off you go. You know,
it's like your kids.
Yeah.
it's
Okay, you're
like
ready.
your babies.
You're ready. Off you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to not have that pressure of survival. You know, like to constantly churn out content. You know, having that.
Can you keep a couple for crate? Keep a couple on the to pass to crate section.
Of course.
We'll do a big song and dance for you. What's a bit of wisdom, man? I've learned a lot from you over the years, and you've always inspired me in more ways than you know, especially your DJing style. I think it was you and Robbie Lowe that I probably and the two completely different styles of DJing. You know, so it's a really good kind of you know,
we are really different.
Really
DJs.
different, right?
Yeah.
And it's so good to see those two different styles. What's some advice you could give DJs, music? Let's go DJs that are starting to get into music production.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them when they're starting to get into it and they want to make dance music?
Production specifically, I would say like, you know, find a producer who's very talented and hang out with them.
Watch them make music.
Just hang out with them, man. Like, you know, what we were saying about like, you know, have a mentor. I think a mentor is super key. Like if you're starting, someone who's like not afraid to divulge their knowledge, because you know, over the years I've come across producers who are super happy to share knowledge and others who are super secretive. You know, like some of them are like super secretive and others are very, very open and just like, you know, like
super secretive with their process.
Yeah, some are. Yeah.
Wow.
One guy like who I love dearly, Faris, Eric Volta from Berlin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's like one of those just legends who just loves having, you know, he loves sharing his knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
He's actually, I think, Singaporean. So he's from around here.
I picked him up from the airport once.
Yeah, he's from around here.
Yeah.
He's got like sort of that like kind of Southeast Asian look that lives in Berlin.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's just one of those lovely humans that loves sharing his knowledge, and I learned a lot from him actually.
Shout out to Eric Volta.
Yeah, even though we only did like 2 or 3 sessions, I mean
they were gold.
Yeah, we did one in Berlin, and I mean, even like I'm just thinking, we did a couple in Sydney.
What did you learn? Like, what were your takeaways like from those experiences? Or
just like I guess the main thing was his willingness to like just, you know, teach and
be open.
Yeah, be really open. And you know, he's a multi-instrumentalist. And seeing that always like is just fantastic when you see some guy who picks up like a, you know, a djembe or a bloody, I don't know, a sitar. Like, and he's got like exotic instruments as well.
Yeah, he does.
He's an exotic guy, and like, you know, next thing you know, he's on like, you know, the Korg, and then he's like, doing the electronic stuff, and then he's like in Ableton, and then he's like playing the djembe, and it's like, you know, it's
cool.
It's like got the organic instruments going, and the thing is, I'd say like in terms of advice is like, don't be threatened by other people's knowledge, because some people can do that, and it's always like, oh shit, do I have to do that? No, you don't. You don't have to. Just learn what you can learn, and not put yourself under like this immense pressure to learn everything, but just figure out what you're good at and stick to that, you know, and then what you're not good at, you know, surround yourself with people that are good at things you're not good at. Like if you don't know how to play djembe, go get a djembe player, mate.
Yeah, because he's been doing it for 15 years.
And the thing is with music, you can't do everything either. Like you literally don't have.
It's so humbling, huh?
You don't have the capacity, the time, or the skills. Like no one has. Like, you know, it's occasionally like, you know, unless you're Prince and you can play like 16 instruments, all that stuff. You know, there's occasionally people that can do the whole thing, but a lot of people can't. Like, you know, sometimes people are good with beats and not good with, you know, synths, riffs, you know, like chords. And some people are good with arrangement, and other people are good with, you know, technology, and some aren't. Some people are good with guitars and not, you know, technology. You know, all sorts of things. You know, don't worry about it. Just, you know, if you're not good at something, learn.
So surround you, get a mentor. I 100% agree with that. I had a mentor called Paul Rogers who wrote a lot of Peak Tong stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, booked Sasha his first Ig, or one of Sasha's first early tours, and was surrounded by Charlie May and Barry Jamieson, heavily influenced by those crew, and it was a really good experience because I felt it fast tracked my production.
Yeah,
because you get that confidence.
Yeah,
and they hold you to a standard because you can't believe your own bullshit either when you're writing music.
Right.
You've got to, if just because you've spent 6 hours of your time on an idea, that doesn't make it so.
Yeah.
If you're fighting the track, it's got to be fluid.
And having that confidence is everything. Just taking the pressure off yourself that you have to do this, that, the other, and just actually enjoying the creative process. And then, it's always good to know what you want to do with it, or you have some people have a very clear picture of the career path they want. Do you want to be a touring DJ, or do you want to be a studio nerd? Do you want to be a mix down guy? There's room for everyone.
Yeah, there is. There's a job for everyone.
There's a job for everyone. If DJing's your thing, some people hate DJing. Yeah, actually, a lot of people hate DJing, and a lot of.
But they love making dance music.
Yeah, that's right. So it's there's no rules. It's just having that confidence, like you said. That's why it's cool to have mentors or people that have been around the traps a bit longer, just to, actually, there's no rush.
Yeah, there's no rush.
There's no rush.
And have fun.
Have fun. Yeah.
Gotta have fun.
Yeah, if you don't have fun, there's, no fun in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my advice. It's I think that's super important.
I think we're going to wrap up on that.
Beauty.
So good to have you here, bro. So good to catch up. This is literally our first time catching up.
Podcast catch up.
It's like, instead of being in a back room somewhere.
It's authentic.
It's authentic, man. I'm going to remember this. And if I don't, we can listen to it on Spotify.
You can listen to it on Spotify in 10 years. Go, you
remember that one? Thanks so much to have you on the show, man.
Water cheersing.
To the future.
Yes, brother.